everyone, thanks for stopping by my channel today. I am going to be creating today with some studio light products from Ecstasy Crafts. I am going to have these products linked up in the description box below, so make sure you check that out. These products are absolutely so much fun, and I'm going to kind of mix and match a few different collections together to create a card today. I am going to be using this die set. This one is called, I'm just looking here. I believe this one is the SL383, although I'm looking now, no, it is actually the SL381. So it's this one here, but this is a whole series, which is really cool, of standalone die sets. So this set here by itself will actually create this mini book. So this is the set of dies that you get in this set. And if you wanted to, you could actually create this little journal with this set of dies. So very, very interesting and cool. I am going to be creating here on YouTube over the course of the next number of weeks with a whole bunch of these essentials cutting and embossing die sets like this one. And today I wanted to create a card though with this specific die set. So I'm not going to be creating the mini journal. I'm going to create a card. I'm also going to use this beautiful Janine's Mindful Art Collection stamp. This is just a beautiful hydrangea. And this one is stamp JMA22. Totally beautiful. I love this. Such a gorgeous lined image there. And I'm also going to be using a die set of butterflies here from the Just Lou Butterfly Collection. So this is such a gorgeous collection. If you haven't seen this one, it's very beautiful. There's beautiful rice papers and stamps and dies and all kinds of bits that are part of this Just Lou collection, but it's definitely a butterfly themed collection. And I wanted to use one of these butterflies on my card today. The die that I'm going to be using from this Essentials SL381 is a little stitched rectangle die that I thought would be really pretty on my card front element. So that's what I'm going to be creating with today. Let's get right to the process. Okay, to start off my process here today, I thought it would be fun to create a little bit of color on my background before I go ahead and stamp out my hydrangea here. Now the color that I have to use is this Cosmic Shimmer Pixie Powder in Scarlet Mist. This is a really, really fun product from Cosmic Shimmer. If you're not familiar with their product line, they have a ton of mixed media products that are so much fun. And I am working on some Bristol Smooth cardstock here. This is not watercolor paper or anything like that, but I'm going to start off just by adding a little bit of water to my Bristol paper. And this paper will take a little bit of water, which is nice. I'm going to just tap a little bit of the Cosmic Shimmer powder on there. I don't want too much. And this is just going to create a little bit of a mixed media background here for my hydrangea when I'm ready to stamp that on here. And I would like kind of like a little bit of an organic kind of a shape here, which I will get if I just get a little bit more water on there and just let this move around a little bit on the paper on its own. Now the really fun thing about this Cosmic Shimmer is that it has sparkle to it. It's got a little bit of mica in it, a little bit of shimmer. That is just beautiful. And just going to create a background for where my pretty hydrangea stamp is going to go. So just a little bit of subtle color. I don't want too much on there. And now I'm just going to let that dry. Okay, so you can see just how pretty that Cosmic Shimmer is. I don't know if the light's really picking it up, but there's just a really pretty shimmer and sheen to that pigment on my paper. So now I'm just going to put the paper into my Misty here. And I am going to take this hydrangea stamp. Such a beautiful stamp. So again, this is from the Janine's Mindful Art collection. This is a whole series. There's beautiful stamps and rice paper and patterned paper, beautiful product from that collection. Totally stunning. So I just want a portion of this stamp. And if you can remember here, I was showing you this die. So this is all really that I'm going to end up with here is just a chunk of this stamp showing on my card. And that's fine. I'm totally okay with that. That was my plan. I do want the majority of that pink pigment to be obviously where the petals of the flower are. So I'm just going to kind of move the stamp around until I get it into the spot where I'm happy with where that color is. And I will swing my MISTI closed and I'm ready to go ahead and stamp that out. Now I am going to take this anti-static powder tool and I am going to treat my paper with that because I am going to do some heat embossing for this project. So I'm going to make sure that I get a nice amount of that powder on here. Got that. I am going to take some embossing ink. And again, I will link up to products below so that you can find these different things that you can use for a project similar. If you want to do something similar or you want to create the same project. I want to do some gold heat embossing here. Sorry for the table shake. And I want to make sure I've got a really good impression there. So I am going to ink this up again. Put a good amount of pressure on there. I'll just take a cloth and slide that across there. So probably have a good amount of ink on there at this point. So we can just take this off the MISTI. To get some gold embossing powder. Run that over my cardstock. I'm not too worried about the gold going over in that area there because I am going to be die cutting this. So I'll just get it in that main area there. And I'm just going to clean up this powder and just kind of take it over my garbage and get the rest of this off just by flicking the paper, getting the rest in this area off, and then we'll heat emboss that. Something I forgot to do was I forgot to put I usually just put a piece of copy paper underneath my surface when I'm heat embossing so I can just put my extra embossing powder in my container. I forgot to do that, but just a little tip. It's a good idea. You waste way less of your embossing powder if you do that. But anyways, I've got that all cleaned up. So now I'm just going to melt this with my heat tool. I'm going to give that a couple of seconds to heat up. And now we'll just melt that embossing powder. This is a fun part of the embossing process, is watching that powder melt, revealing the beautiful gold color. to heat the back of your paper a little bit too. It helps out. You can actually burn your paper with your embossing tool, so your heat embossing. This heat tool gets very, very hot, so it's good to heat the back of your paper a little bit as well. It speeds up the melting process on the main side, the front of your paper, and you'll be able to tell when your embossing powder is melted, when it's all shiny. So just kind of hold it in the light. You can see that area right there is dull. It needs to be melted there. You can just see how it fades off there because I didn't get the powder over in that area. But this is perfect. I just want that little section there. So now you can just see how I can take my die and I can die cut a piece here. And it's just got that really pretty soft pink background, which is exactly what I was going for. So I can actually move it over so that the flower goes off the edge a little bit, which would be fine as well. I don't mind that. And I actually wouldn't mind a little bit of white space at the top. So I'm just going to move it up a little bit so that I get that white space as well. I am going to tape this down with some low tack tape and run it through my die cutting machine, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so this is what my piece looks like so far now that it's die cut out and heat embossed. It just looks so pretty. And I'm just going to set that to the side for a second. I want to show you the Janine's Mindful Art Collection rice papers. They're so beautiful. I absolutely love them. And I'm going to use one of these for my butterfly that I'm going to be using to embellish my card today. So there's this one here. This is called Rice JMA 35. Beautiful, beautiful. This one is Rice JMA 36. Totally beautiful. I love the dragonfly and the butterflies, the florals, just so pretty. And this one is Rice JMA 37. Just so gorgeous. These would be so beautiful for art journal pages as well. But I'm going to show you how I'm going to use these today with my card. This is Rice JMA 38. Just a beautiful, beautiful rice paper. Just so gorgeous. This paper is just amazing. So what I did was, out of this piece here, the number 38, I just took a corner and I used one of the Just Lou butterfly dies, the outline of the butterfly. I cut that from some of the rice paper, and I also cut that from some Bristol Smooth cardstock. And what I'm going to do is take some multi-medium matte, and I'm going to stick this rice paper onto this cardstock. Just going to lift it up so I don't get a bunch of this on my table. I'm just going to apply that matte medium onto the paper. And then I will place the rice paper on top of that. Another way that you could do this is put the rice paper onto your cardstock and then cut the butterfly shape out of it, so you don't have to worry about lining it up, but it's not really that hard to do. And now I'm just going to go over top of the rice paper as well, just to completely seal it up. Wouldn't have to do that because it is going to stick down, but I usually just like to do this because then the top is sealed as well. And it's just going to be nicely adhered to that cardstock. Now I'm going to let that dry and I'll come back with the next step. Okay, let's take a look at where we're at here. I have cut a few other little pieces here for the card from another one of the dies from the Just Lou collection. This is Stencil JL21, and it includes a happy die, this interesting shape here, and then this floral sprig. So really fun ways to add some layers to your projects. So I cut the happy from some purple cardstock, and I also cut it out of some white cardstock. So I'm going to add these layers, these white layers, to the purple just to make this die cut piece a little bit thicker and more sturdy for our card, for our sentiment. Our card is going to be 4 by 5 3/4. So this is a 4 and 5 3/4 card base. This is some Nina Classic Crest cardstock. It is 110 pounds, so it's really nice for a card base. And here again is a purple cardstock. So I just thought this was a really pretty cardstock to complement the colors in the rice paper that I used, and it goes really nicely with that pixie dust that I used as well. So this is going to be what we're going to adhere our card front onto, and all of the colors I've chosen here obviously are going to coordinate together with that. I just really like this sprig as possibly another layering piece on our card. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it, but I just thought that it would be good to have that cut just in case I wanted to include another little bit of texture. So before I put the butterfly on the front here, I'm just going to adhere these layers together. So all I'm going to do for that is I'm just going to take some liquid adhesive and add it to the back of this die cut piece. It's kind of a fiddly process, but with an intricate die like this, but it just will take us a second, and you don't have to cover the whole back with adhesive, just every here and there. And you can go ahead and take the other piece and just adhere these together and then add the purple to the top in exactly the same way that I'm gluing these two pieces together. Just adhere those together. Get that extra glue off of there with my fingers. And I am using glue that dries clear, so that is a good feature. And I'm just going to pop a little bit more in between there. And it is nice that this glue has a nice fine tip on it. I just get a little more glue dabbed in there. And now this is ready to have the purple added on top. I do really like that little bit of extra texture that adds to the card. So I am going to add it in that spot right there, and I'm actually going to add it on with a glue dot. I'm just going to grab a little dot of glue and add it to the back of this leaf here. I do kind of want to leave this part unglued so that it just adds that little bit of extra texture to the project. So I'm going to just trim off this piece here. And then our little butterfly is going to go there. Just want to put this on the card base here. I'm going to go ahead and stick this card base together. Just using a little bit of repositionable adhesive on this purple card front. And I just want to get it on there so that there's just that little bit of white margin space around the outside edge just to finish it off. And then this I'm going to add onto the card with some foam adhesive to give it some dimension. But at this point I just want to kind of figure out where to put my butterfly so that it's not too far over the edge. But I think even just like right there or right here maybe. Looks like about the right spot. And then our word happy is going to be like this. And I'm thinking I'm going to just trim the edge off of that happy piece. So I'm going to get all of that adhered down to my card before I put the card front onto the card base. So I'm going to use a couple of glue dots on my butterfly here. I don't want to glue the wings down. I want them to be free to flutter. I just want them to be free to kind of have a little bit of lift on the design. It just creates a little bit more movement on the card when those can just be dimensional like that. Now we can just put that happy on there. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that on with some liquid adhesive. Okay, I want to add some white splatters, and I'm going to do that with some Dina Wakley gloss spray. And I've got this obviously in my splat box, but I am still going to shield it a little bit from spraying above the splat box. And this is just going to give my project some really nice bright white splats. Got a couple on there that are pretty big. I'm going to just absorb up some of that with paper towel. But that's just going to add a really nice white splattered texture. And I do have the word happy covered up because I don't want any of the splatters on that. I want that to be just a really nice crisp purple. So I really love how that looks, and you'll be able to see that a little bit better. I'll show you up close. And I'm thinking about adding a few gold splatters too. I'm just going to think about that. Okay, I'm ready to add some foam adhesive to the back of this and adhere it onto our card just to finish this off. I don't remember if I mentioned that I sewed the vellum to that backing piece on the butterfly. I can't remember if I mentioned that. If I forgot that, I did take the butterfly layers down to my sewing machine and I sewed the vellum layer to the backing layer there. I really like how that turned out. It just adds that little bit of extra texture to the card. Really love this little piece. I did actually decide to put another little glue dot here just to tack it down in that area, but it is still free there. And I really love the splatters. I did end up using a little bit of Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine on here as well. I splattered a little bit of gold in exactly the same way that I splattered the white, the Dina Wakley gloss spray. Just going to flip this over and make sure that my surface is clean. And I'm going to add this foam adhesive. This is just 1/2 inch 3M foam tape. And I'm going to add layers of this all the way across my card base. I'll take this backing off of it and stick it down to our card base so that it's nice and dimensional. Now the really nice thing about using that dimensional adhesive on the back, that foam adhesive, is it flattens your card out if you've done any amount of mixed media on there at all. So I love how this card turned out. I think it's so pretty. I love the Studio Light products, and you can find those at Ecstasy Crafts online. I will leave links to everything that I've used in the description box below, so make sure that you check it out. If you have not used my coupon code at Ecstasy Crafts before, make sure that you check out the description box for that coupon code. It is valid for first-time purchase, and it is also valid if on any product that is not on sale. So it has to be a regular price product. It has to be your first purchase with Ecstasy Crafts, and you can use that coupon code that I have included in the description box below. So make sure you check that out, and I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you leave me a comment. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you as a new subscriber. And yeah, thanks so much for joining me today. Have an amazing day, everybody. Bye-bye.